Hello, welcome and welcome back, and we're in Minecraft again, because that's where we always are. Today, for once, I have actually turned off both fans in my room, and so hopefully we have decent audio at last, but you can still hear my keyboard, so maybe not perfect yet. Anyways, we are starting at the plaza, but fortunately, this is not what we're working on, even though I probably should. I don't know, man, I just need to figure out the colors still. I feel like I need some blues over here, but I got blues right here. I need something to contrast. Over here's a mystery still. I don't know. We're gonna figure it out, but that's not a today problem. Our today problems are right here, which is something that we don't look at ever. There's no paths that go over here yet. So why are we doing it? Because I want to. This feels like a space that could be really special, and I want to do that. Also, throughout the video, we might see the trees from last time. I apologize for that, because looking back, I'm not a fan of the way that I structured these, and so I'm gonna find some time eventually to touch this up, but that time's not today, because I don't want to. Now, what's also special about today is that we're nearing the anniversary of me coming back to this world. I think we're right about the time that I remodeled the melon and pumpkin farm, and when we got into Wonderful Wool, which is, of course, where we've got the monster storage system that caused me a lot of lag for a while. I'm going to be trying a lot of different things with this. I don't know, it's an experiment, you know? I'm going to need some of this green dye. Now, before we get too far into anything, I do want to give, I guess like a content warning, but a content warning. I want to give a little bit one of those. It's not something I do normally, but today I'm going to be getting into some topics that are a bit less than light, you know, a bit heavy, really. And that's not something I normally do on this channel. And so, whenever I do get into those topics, I will be leaving a timestamp on the screen to skip past them. Because I've got some stuff I gotta address. Now what I'm going to be doing over here is a courtyard. And so, as I'm getting things set up, I do want to say that while I am going to be addressing some things that are, you know, not particularly happy ideas, my goal is not going to be complaint. My goal, and this is not, you know, like any kind of a drama or anything, but I hope that in making this video I can give potentially somebody out there some peace and some insight into just, you know, keeping themselves a little bit more positive, a little bit more resistant to negative thoughts and unruly thinking patterns. Because the way that we think it's one of those things that it's really hard to control, but after we start doing it, it gets easier, and it makes a lot of things easier. Right, so, you know, I've prefaced now, and right, so we got a preface in. Now, we've got a preface in, and I find it kind of difficult to organize my thoughts, so this video might be a bit jumpy. It's still something that I'm trying to work on myself, you know? But we're just gonna, you know, slowly work through it. Like, I'm gonna slowly work through this mountain and then the actual building. It's a hill more than a mountain, but you get the point. So, if you've been watching recent videos, you're probably familiar, maybe vaguely, with my recent situations, which is, you know, I addressed it whenever I was building the clock tower. This is to say that I've recently gone through a really nasty breakup, and I'm working through it, right? This isn't with the intent of just kind of like airing my laundry. Rather, it's just kind of every now and then we need to get some emotions out. And I'm not trying to use, this channel as like a trauma sink. But I'm hoping that somebody can watch this and feel a little bit less alone whenever they're in a dark time. And know that, you can keep going. And so, what is my situation for the unenlightened? I went through a nasty breakup. I was in a relationship for over a year, about a year and a half. And it was my first relationship. It ended right at the start of my spring break for my senior year of high school, which was also right before prom. And my ex got with my best friend 3 days later. And over the course of 2 weeks, I was lied to about anything going on between them. I was told that me being jealous of the time they were spending together was harmful to them, like hurting their feelings. And I was told that I was being really immature to feel like I was being, ignored by my best friend. Now, the two of them still have not told me themselves what is going on. And that was kind of like the first lesson that I've had to learn. You're not always going to get closure. I learned what was actually going on through other people. I've had something of a support system. I've had a lot of friends who have been just nothing but good to me, better than I deserve, really. And they've kind of helped me fill in blanks because they've been told a lot of things. I've learned a lot more about what's gone on. I know what I've heard is that from multiple people is that I've had rumors spread about me, about things that just are not true, and the severity of them is different depending on who it's being told to, and how well they know me. This is to say that the people who know me better are being told the less extreme versions of these stories because they know me. They know that that's not my character. Something that I've been learning a lot about is anger and controlling anger. It's something that really tries to trap you. Anger is a very powerful force. It's, in my experience, the emotion that feels the worst. And it's one of the most powerful emotions. It's one that has a very easy time kind of overpowering any other emotions that you're feeling. And for a while, I was able... Oh, dude. Rain. Now, for a while, I was able to somewhat curb anger. It's something that I used to struggle a lot with whenever I was younger. Starting in about 8th grade, I did realize how big of an issue it was. And I started to get it under control. I was able to eventually reach a place where I wouldn't get angry, and I would just get really sad. But somewhere in the last few months, that kind of just dissolved, and it regained kind of a hold on me. And it is not a good feeling. It is something where you feel very used by it. It feels a bit like a possession, It feels like you lose all control over yourself. And it's a terrible feeling. The things you say, the things you do, they don't feel your own. And in those times, it's really hard to take a step back and really consider what you're doing. And I've largely moved past my anger with this situation. I had to talk with a friend, and afterwards I had to talk with my friend, and we kind of talked about anger and not letting it have a hold on you. But afterwards, there was a time I saw my ex. I didn't do anything that I would consider particularly nasty. I just, in speaking, I took up a tone that I'm less than proud of. I made a little bit of a scene, a little bit of a yelling, you know? And I asked, why are you trying to hurt me? Because this was after I became aware of the rumors. And I let things get to me. And I talked to my friend again, and he said that we could have another conversation, but he needed to know that I was actually going to listen. And that was, for me, that was a moment where I kind of realized sometimes things are bigger than us, but there's always going to be aspects that are not bigger than us. And our behavior is not bigger than us. We don't control our situations, but we control how we respond to them. When we're responding to a situation where other people have hurt us, we have to take a step back and think about how our actions are going to affect others. It becomes really tempting to do things that are spiteful and motivated by hatred. But it's really important that we don't let that hatred breed in us. And it can be difficult. It's something I've been struggling with lately, is not allowing hatred to brew. I've been the type of person for a long time. I decided I don't have space in my heart for hate. I don't want to harbor that. It's not something that makes me feel good. And so I've made an effort to reduce the hatred in my heart and to kind of nip it in the bud whenever I feel it. But recently, I've had a struggle. And there's a process of reminding yourself. But you need to be careful with forgiveness. And this is going to sound really bad for a minute. I don't mean never forgive people, but there is an extent to which you move past something without forgiving it. Because whenever we feel forced to forgive other people, we can feel inclined to side with them instead of siding with ourselves. And it's okay to address that you've done something wrong. But sometimes, when we forgive other people and we let them tell us how we should feel about something that happened to ourselves, it can develop into a sense of self-hatred. And that is where I fell in the beginning of this whole process. I believed for a very long time, whenever I was told that nothing was going on between the two people who I trusted. And any time that somebody would tell me something was happening between them, I would brush it aside because I trusted them. I felt like it truly had been entirely my fault that there was a breakup and that I had made the person I cared about most, that I had made them hurt, and that was why we were at the state that we were in. A bit of a sensitive topic. My mind went to very dark places. It wasn't for too long. Sometimes we are gripped with a deep-seated loathing of ourselves, and we feel less inclined to be kind to ourselves than we do to others. I don't mean to just kind of dodge the words. I mean to just not get this removed from YouTube. But in those moments, we think about how we are the only person we can truly control the presence of. And sometimes we feel a bit like it is the end of the road. And like there's nothing left. And like all that we will do is hurt both ourselves and others. And these thoughts take a lot of energy. They take a lot out of you. But it is very difficult to control them and stop them. And so they wear us down. And there are those among us who are unable to resist their pull. And it's the thing that you've heard so many times, but it isn't the answer. It doesn't fix anything. It only hurts, in the end, you and the people who love you. And it's not something that I am still struggling with. It hit me for, a day or two. But I was fortunate enough to be able to move past it. I've had a strong enough support system that I was able to be pulled out of it. But when we're put into a situation like this, there's a lot of ways that we can use our energy and we can use our emotions. And it's important that we use it in a healthy way. For me, it was very contemplative. I thought a lot about myself and a lot about relationships with other people and about how my emotions were being shaped by other people. For a while, I had nobody talking to me other than my family. And I was left feeling very dejected, like there was something wrong with me. I later found out that the people who are my friends didn't want to involve themselves because they knew that I didn't want the situation to grow bigger than it was. But in those times when we feel alone, we do have to reach out because there are people who care about us and they just don't want to intrude on what isn't theirs to know. And so you do have to invite people in. People will often realize that you are struggling, but not want to jump to conclusions or insinuate that there's something wrong with you if there isn't. And it's really important that we think about the people who have our backs. I'm in a very fortunate position. For me, this was a lot of the staff at my school. I have a lot of teachers who are very kind to me and who have known me for quite a while. All of my teachers this year, except for one, were teachers that I've had in the past. My Spanish teacher, for one, made me stay after class one day and ask me what was going wrong. And that was kind of the moment I realized how much other people can help. And I opened up to all of my teachers, like I said. And I received support that I was not even giving myself. I suddenly had so many people less involved in the situation than I was, who were more supportive of me than I was, more upset about what had happened and the way that I had been treated than I was. And it invited me to stop blaming myself. But something I learned of a lot of importance is empathy. And this isn't to say that I was, empathizing about how terrible of a friend I had been. I don't want to pretend I've done everything right. But really, I wasn't that terrible of a friend. What I mean is I learned empathy in the regard of understanding what drives people to dark places. When I was alone, and when I didn't have anybody talking to me, I had very nihilistic thoughts about things. I'm a person who believes in morals above most things. Really, just about anything. Morals have always been a very strong driving force for me. And so that was how I was able to pull myself out from these very dark thoughts, very upsetting thoughts about the nature of people. I believe in a good human nature. But I understood why some people do not. And it has granted me an ability to see somebody with these thought patterns that I think are irrational and understand that they are born from a place of hurt. There's going to be a reason that somebody thinks a certain way. And I've gained an insight that I didn't have before as to what can make people think that way. A lonely mind is not brought back from its ideas by very many things. The only control switch on it is itself, and for some people that switch isn't very powerful. And so now I can see somebody with these very, very harmful thought patterns, and my thoughts are not about how terrible of a person they are for it, but rather how hurt they must be. It's a new layer of understanding people. Another thing that has really stuck with me is what my school counselor said, because the school did get involved after the rumors got to a point where, I was having panic attacks, and just from being around these people who I, have classes with and park next to. And what the school counselor, who had already talked to them first, told me is that hearing what I had to say, I did not sound spiteful, but scorned. What she told me is something that I've gotten a lot of peace from, which is that people will do things for two reasons. Either they believe it is the right thing to do, or because it feels good. And if somebody knows that something isn't the right thing to do, then they are likely going to feel very guilty and try to justify why it was the right thing to do, even though it was just something that felt good. Understanding this helped me to realize there wasn't just some long-standing plan to destroy my reputation and cut me as deep as possible. There was guilt that they had hurt me, and they did not have the strength to make things right and apologize. And instead, what called to them was justification. And I have, from knowing this, wanted to avoid falling into the same trap myself. Doing the right thing has been something that, any time of strife, I have still wanted to do. There was something that my ex had given me and asked for back. It was a rock that she had long ago promised herself she would give to the person she would marry, because it was perfectly split in half, and she asked for this back. And a part of me did not want to do this. A part of me wanted to just leave it somewhere. And people around me had suggested what they thought I should do. People have said I should have spat on it. My dad said I should have signed it. And when I talked to the counselor about this, she had told me that she wasn't going to tell me what to do. I thought about it for a long time. And then I realized that it's something that would hurt. It would hurt somebody who I no longer liked, who had hurt me. But it would still hurt someone. And the intent of doing it, when you think about it, the only kind of gratification that could be gathered is knowing that I had hurt somebody who would hurt me. But if you remove it from context, and context is important, but out of context, that would be gathering enjoyment and feeling good off of hurting someone. And that is something that I could not live with myself for. It does not serve us to do something if all it does is hurt other people. Some things are extremely inconsequential to us. And, maybe it's just something that we never think about again. But it hurts someone else when we make that decision, even if it feels good for just a minute. And in these times, you have to think about doing the right thing. And I thought about what my counselor told me. And in the long run, what I realized would feel best was doing the right thing. Because I wouldn't have to live with the guilt of knowing what I had done. And so I gave it back. In the face of dark times, something that we can get a lot of value out of is making other people proud. And that's something that I've been trying to do. I've been trying to make myself proud, but I've also been trying to make the people who care about me proud. You know, I mentioned this was all right before prom. I no longer had a date to prom. And I only had one close friend who was going to prom. Because I had a lot of people who had stopped talking to me, you know? Who had bought into rumors, or thought that they needed to pick sides, and decided that I was no longer a part of their story. I had resolved to go to prom, knowing that there was very little there for me. But I was in the parking lot, and I heard somebody say my name. I looked over, and I have trouble placing it for a second, and then I realized that it is my neighbor's mom. One of my good friends, the person who introduced me to my former best friend, and, you know, his coworker. I had told him what had happened, just very briefly. And he said, "Wow, that's messed up." And here was his mom, running over to me in the parking lot. And the first thing she asks is, "How are you doing? Do I need to go punch someone in the face for you?" And then, you know, I walk in. And also the reason his mom was there was for the, you know, parent-child dance and stuff. But so I go in, and I see my Spanish teacher. Or she sees me before I see her. But she looks right at me, and she says, "I'm so proud of you." And my math teacher, my calculus teacher, is the one at the desk. And she says that she's happy that I'm there. And my English teacher is at, you know, to my other side, and she says the same thing. And there was this moment of just, this feels too noisy. But suddenly I was surrounded by all these people telling me that they were proud of me for doing something, because I wasn't sure that I was going to go. And I had told them that I wasn't sure if I was still going to be going, because I didn't know how much there was going to be there for me. But I felt validated for everything in that moment. And I realized that making other people proud was that important to me. And it made me proud to know that I was making other people proud. Because I knew I was doing something that I should be proud of. And I've always had an issue with being able to be proud of myself. But I've kind of realized if other people can be proud of you, then you should be proud of you. Like, that's something I'm going to carry with me. If I'm doing something that other people would be proud of me for, it's okay for me to be proud of myself. And I decided that I wanted to do things for myself in that moment. And so I did. I made sure that I had a good time. I made myself have a good time. I told myself that I wasn't allowed to not have a good time. Yeah, that's too noisy. And there was a time that I looked behind me, and at a table in the corner of the room, I saw two very familiar faces, and I saw looks of disgust plastered on their face. And those looks were directed towards me. And they had been before I looked that way. And a little bit later, I looked back again and I saw the same thing. And I talked to my friend whose mom had approached me later on. And he said that every time he saw them that night, they were just staring at me with disgust on their faces, in that the only time that they had tried to talk to him, because he was originally going to be going with my old best friend, the only time that they had tried to talk to him was to say something negative about me. That was whenever I realized that just taking that night for myself and not being afraid to go, not wanting to feel forced away, was worth it. Not because I ruined it for somebody else, but because it meant I was doing things the right way. I wasn't letting other people control my life. Because that former best friend had gone through a really bad breakup before himself. Because that other friend had been spending a lot of time with his ex around the time of their breakup. And he never forgave that friend for that. But I know that they still do things with the intent of trying to upset them. I've seen dashcam footage from my former friend, where he realizes that they're behind him and he just starts screaming at the top of his lungs. And he proudly shared that with me. And that's not how I want to respond and react, is what I realized. Like, I don't want to just paint myself as Betterland. And I'm not living my life just to be Betterland, which is, I think that's a very dangerous mindset. But that's the mindset that he has taken up. And I understood that moving on isn't being fine in the face of things and proving that you're fine. It's being okay. I mentioned at the start of this video that I don't want to just kind of stew on what's happened to me. I'm sorry if that's how this has felt. Because I do want to leave you with something. And maybe it's something that you already learned yourself. Don't let hatred control you. It's hard. And lately I've felt a resurgence of it. And I've had to fight back. But when we are tempted by hatred, what we have to do is think to ourselves, what are we doing by dwelling? We have to think about what is being accomplished by not moving on. Because living with hatred is not moving on. Think about who you want to make proud. And if you don't have somebody in your life who you want to make proud, think of somebody who used to be in your life who you want to make proud. Your kindergarten teacher. A deceased family member. A pet. It could even be somebody who you don't like anymore, who you don't care about anymore. Maybe you want to make the version of your ex who you knew proud. They might not be the same person who you knew, but maybe you want to make the person who you knew proud. But make sure that you can be proud of your response. Make sure that the way that you're responding to a situation is something that you're going to look back and be proud of yourself for. A life philosophy that has always really helped me in hard times is that everything's going to be okay. You have no reason to believe that everything's not going to be okay. Because so far, everything has always worked out. You're still standing, no matter how much you don't believe it in the moment. Everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. You need to stay strong. And I say that both as something for myself and as something for you. How do you... I'm getting so distracted, but like, how do you... No matter what happens, no matter what you're going through, there will be an end to it. I don't like the saying, everything happens for a reason. In part, I don't know that I believe it. I think people are going to do things for reasons. Saying that everything happens for a reason implies we can control things. And it leaves us to dwell on what those reasons are. It is, like I said, one of those times where it's hard looking to the future and not just living for the future. Because that's what I've done for years. For years I've done everything and just thought, this is going to pay off in the future. It's, you know, whenever I started living in the moment that everything kind of fell apart. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't want this video to be seen as reasons why you shouldn't believe in good nature. I don't want anything in this video to come off as nihilistic. I hate nihilism. Nihilism is... it's terrible. It will destroy you. And so I would advise that no matter what you're going through, don't resort to nihilism. Don't. It's a form of hatred, you know? And what did we already say? Don't let hatred consume you. I hope you get something from me telling you that you're not alone. I hope that it helps for me to tell you there's an end to it, and that you will get better. Because like I said, I don't want this to just be me complaining. I want it to be me encouraging you that everything's going to be okay. Because it will. Like I said, that's my philosophy. Everything will be okay. Because so far it has. You're a lot stronger than you think. You've got a lot more in you than you know, and you can move past whatever you're going through. No matter what it is. You're always going to have people who will support you. And if it feels like you don't have anybody supporting you, then reach out. You can also write to yourself, because you always need to be there for yourself as well. You're always going to have something there for you. Don't give up. On the topic of support, I also want to thank everybody who's been saying nice things in the comments recently, because it's helped me a lot to just make these videos. You know, I've had to instate a new rule for myself, which is I'm not editing these after too late at night, because then I just start to get really lonely. But whenever I'm recording them, I don't feel alone, because I think about all the people leaving comments. Like, I remember all of you. Another thing I've been doing is I've been trying to maximize my positive impact. Don't get me wrong, my mind has been a dark place lately. It's important to not let that consume you. You know, I think about my Minecraft world. I have all of these really bright spaces, and immersing yourself in the colors of the world and everything that's good is really helpful. Look at art. Some of the most beautiful art is made by some of the most depressed people, you know? If you've ever seen those, like, excerpts from Hayao Miyazaki interviews, you'll know it. It helps to just do something that makes us feel good, you know? One thing that I've taken up is painting, and I'm not the greatest at it, but I can feel good doing it, because I can be proud seeing that I've grown more capable, and that each time I get a little bit better. So I think it's really important that you find a positive way to channel your emotions. Comment of the day. Today's comment of the day comes from Hippotom6, which says, "Hello, I watched your last video today, the one about the clock tower build. These were an amazing touch," and there's a little bit more to that, but I couldn't fit it in the book, but I did read it all. Don't worry. Thank you. It means a lot. Like, I say the same thing every time, but it really does. It really does mean a lot. And that's why I say it, you know? Now, to reiterate for the final time, what I've been saying through this entire episode, is that it's important to look for those lights in dark times. Things are going to get better. You're not stuck in this dark time. It's going to pass. Because so far it always has, and so it always will. It's going to be better. It's going to be different, but it'll be okay. You know? Always try to keep that positivity in your life, no matter how hard it is. If you don't have anybody in your life to make proud, then make me proud. The way to do that is just to keep going. That will be all for today's video though, so thank you so much for watching. I am really sorry that it seemed a little bit like a trauma dump at times. It wasn't my intention, but it means a lot to me that you've stuck it out to the end. I know that I've gone to some pretty dark places today, and I'm sorry if that was a little bit too much for some of you. That's all I've got for you for today. So, if you want to see more than me, then subscribe, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye bye.